everybody, it's Pattie Pacella, Get Personal with Pattie. This is my second episode, and first I just want to thank everyone who's reached out to me after watching my first video. I've gotten a lot of good feedback. A lot of people enjoyed the openness and about me talking about my daughter, so there was a lot of shared love, a lot of emails, and I just want to say thank you for that. I'm excited to be back, and as you can see, we have a little Christmas theme going on here the week before Christmas. I hope all your shopping's done at least, right? No last minute shopping, because you know what that means. Regifting, which is fine. Regifting is always fine, right? We have a special guest today, a young man from Ford Middle School in Acushnet. We're going to talk about Christmas in just a little bit. And again, just thank you for being here. This is my friend Pete.
Hello.
Pete is a Ford Middle School student. He's 10, and today he's my special guest. We're going to talk about Christmas and Christmas traditions.
Yep.
So Pete, do you do any Christmas shopping?
No, not really. Sometimes we go get my mom something, but this year came a little late. I felt like Thanksgiving got closed up with Christmas earlier, so it was a little harder. But altogether, I like Christmas shopping. It's pretty fun.
Okay. And you have a sister, right?
Yep.
And how old is your sister?
She's 11.
Okay, great. Oh boy, what do you buy an 11-year-old girl?
I don't know.
That must be a tough present to buy for, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, and do you have any other brothers and sisters?
I do have a stepbrother named NJ.
Okay.
He's at Acushnet Public School.
Okay, great.
And I have a baby half-sister named Mael, too.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Well, she's easy to buy for.
Yeah.
You just give her a binky.
Yeah, there you go.
Just stops the crying. Well, that's great. And tell me, it's next week. So you're all done with school as of Friday.
Yeah.
Right? And so what kind of traditions do you have in your home? And, with Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, there's a lot of different traditions that people do. Can you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. From Friday, we normally spend most of the time with our dad, and then Christmas Eve, we go to my vovó's house or grandma.
Vovó. I had a vovó too, so I'm right there, Portuguese.
Yeah. So we go there and we open presents with our cousins, and it's Christmas Eve. That night we go home, and morning we wake up, open our presents, and normally later at night we do something with our cousins again. We get around, talk to each other. We have a good time.
Nice.
And a little bit before Christmas, normally we go somehow cousins party, PJ party, so we wear our PJs to our cousin's house, and it's just a whole great time, and yeah. And
you look forward to it?
Yes, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Did you know that, and I was going to mention this anyways, but there's a lot of traditions out there, and I'm Portuguese, but I married Italian, so we do some Italian traditions as well now. But the Portuguese, when I was a lot younger, which really, you're 10, right? So it was only like maybe 5 years ago. The Portuguese love to sing and dance and act a little crazy, right?
Yes,
sometimes.
Yeah.
So every Christmas Eve, a bunch of the gentlemen would get together and go from house to house to house to house singing Christmas carols.
Oh, yeah.
Till like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Wow, that's crazy.
Right? And a lot of people still do it. They don't come to my house.
Yeah.
But I guess if they did knock on my door and sing Christmas carols, maybe I'd let them in, right?
Yeah. This year we did do Christmas caroling. We didn't do as much because the rain kind of messed us up. But I'm normally the little drummer boy.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. And one of the things that Italians do on Christmas Eve, that's a tradition, is something called the 7 fishes. Oh. They have a meal, like a Christmas Eve dinner meal, that includes at least 7 fishes. So I started this tradition when I married my husband, who's Italian, and we do things like shrimp croquettes, which is, ironically, when I was a kid, one of the things we did traditionally as a child was we had shrimp croquettes for Christmas Eve dinner. So that's something that I still do, but I count it as the 7 fishes. And then we have like a chipone stew, which is an Italian stew, the same kind of thing, like a Portuguese fish stew.
Yeah.
There's a lot of similarities between the Portuguese and the Italian. I think all the nationalities, really. But so that's a tradition that I do with my family on Christmas Eve. We do the 7 fishes. And we like to invite people over that maybe don't have a place to go to.
Yeah.
Because, this time of year, it is the most wonderful time of the year, and it is magical and everything, but there are some people out there and some families that, you know, it's not the most magical time of the year. So certainly you want to make sure you remember those people and check on, you know, your neighbors that maybe are by themselves, or if you have a friend that you know really, you know, lost their parents, or, you know, just a sad time of year for a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah.
So you certainly want to include those people as well in your festivities.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share? Do you want to tell us what you asked Santa Claus for Christmas?
Oh, I asked Santa Claus for an electric drum set because I'm big into drumming and I love it. And just by my regular one, it makes a lot of noise. And sometimes I like to just play out late at night. My mom get a little noise, and I don't blame her. Yeah.
And so what's is it just quieter? Because a drum set, I don't know what an electric drum set is.
So it's basically a drum set, but it has an amp that you plug into, and you can put on headphones, and you can hear what you're playing in the headphones and not out loud.
Oh, and not out loud. Well, that would be cool. Do you take any lessons for drumming?
Yes, I go to the symphony shop. My teacher is Neil Sylvia.
Yep, great. Yep. And how long have you been playing the drums?
Well, I got my first drum set when I was about 5 years old, so 5 years ago.
Great.
And I've been just practicing. It kind of came natural for me for some rhythms. And last year when I started drum lessons, it just helped me out more. And this year we're doing percussion and band, so.
Right. Yeah. Wow, that's great. Well, good for you.
Thank you.
And what did Maddie ask for? I met Maddie yesterday. She's not here. She couldn't be here today because she has dance. But his sister Maddie, do you know what she asked for?
I think she asked for a camera.
A camera.
A nice camera. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Good. So she can take the pictures at Christmas of you getting your drum.
Yeah.
Right? That's great. Well, thank you, Peter, for joining me.
You're welcome.
I'm hoping to do a local musician kind of. You know, adding different things to different episodes coming up in the future, and I would love to have you back.
Okay.
Maybe you can play the drums.
Yeah, sure.
You know, show us what you know on the drums, and your lessons are going far.
Yeah.
Right? That would be great. Wouldn't everybody love that?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. I wish you a Merry Christmas.
All right. You too.
Have fun.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, keeping on traditions, we have Ross Hooley here. Ross Hooley is an Australian native. He came to America how many years ago, Ross?
A long time.
A long time ago.
1987.
Oh, that's the year that I graduated from Fairhaven High School. I'm just saying. But Ross and I used to work together at the Namaska Group where we first met, and we were roommates, not intimate, for
a long time.
A long time.
I think 5 years.
No, I think it was more than that. I think it was 8.
Oh,
I think it was 8. It was a long time ago.
Seemed like a long time.
It was a long time ago, so we
was.
forgot. So
a lot of history.
Ross, nice to have you here. Thanks for coming on over.
Patty, thank you for having me.
And let's talk about traditions and Christmas traditions. So tell us a little bit about Australia and what their traditions are. Because I know the weather is very different in December there than it is here.
So the main difference is, of course, the seasons are reversed. And so when it's winter here, it's summer there. And that really impacts on how people celebrate Christmas. So it's not uncommon that people actually go to the beach on Christmas Day and play cricket. Typically, though, people eat outside on Christmas Day. They'll set up the table in their backyard. There often are barbecues and cookouts and so on. For us, though, we used to have a turkey dinner and with salad and so on. One of the traditions, though, we used to actually also have plum pudding, which is a very English dessert, and of course Australia has a lot of connection with England, and so our traditions a lot are based on what happened there. But the plum pudding, and so my aunt would put a sixpence, which is the equivalent of a nickel, in the plum pudding.
That's fun.
And if you got the slice with the nickel in it, you got a wish. So that's certainly something different. I mean, one of the things about it in Melbourne, which is where I come from, is that on Christmas Eve we always have the Carols by Candlelight, which is a gathering of people, usually about 10,000 people in one of the parks in the middle of Melbourne, and they sing carols.
Wow.
So it's a lot of the traditions, and it's really sort of outside.
Wow.
We used to drive around the boulevards near where I used to live and look at all the Christmas lights.
And we do that here.
Yes.
And it's a very different feel here because it's not probably 80 degrees, right? And there are some beautiful homes in Fairhaven. I mean, in all our area, but there's a lot of beautiful homes, one on Gillette Road that I know of, one on Route 6 that has their lights if you have an opportunity to drive by them before. You know, as I was talking about Grace in my first episode, she's now at the age, I think this is the first time this year that she loves the lights, and she's loving Santa. We saw Santa this weekend. So, you know, any opportunity that we drive by at nighttime to show her, you know, a house with lights on, she really loves it. Do you ever get a chance to go back to Australia at Christmas time?
I think in the time I've been here, we've been back once or twice because it's such a long time to get there. It's about 24, 25 hours, and it always falls in the middle of in terms of the school vacation, it's only like 1 week, and so it really isn't enough time to go there and enjoy yourself. But we have been back a couple of times, but it's something that my family would like to do more often, and perhaps in the future.
All right. And you have a family?
I do.
You have a beautiful wife, Heather.
Thank you.
And Madison, who's older, 20, 19,
She's
20.
just turned 20.
20. And then twins that are 10.
9. They'll be 10 in April.
10 in April. I was close. And then Abby,
my daughter, who just turned 13.
13.
So it's quite a range.
Yeah.
It's funny you should talk about going and looking at Christmas lights. And I remember one time we thought this is a great thing to do. We'll have hot cocoa and go and look at the lights together. So we all piled in the van, a little Honda Odyssey, and we're driving around. And you know, when you've got 6 people in a small space, it doesn't always go as well as you think it's going to go.
I can imagine.
And then I'm not sure exactly what happened, but the twins are crying, and Maddie was bored, and you know, it was kind of.
Abby was fighting with Jack, and
exactly, and so we just went home early.
Right.
So we don't
the
do that.
bulb
We don't
was
do that
out.
tradition any longer.
The bulb was out.
The bulb was out. Yeah.
So tell us about any traditions that you have with your children now. Any that maybe you can't, you know, from Australia to you? Do you do the plum pudding here?
We don't. I have tried the plum pudding. Let's just say it's not as well received here as it is there. It's quite a complicated dessert to make, actually, because it has a lot of ingredients that go into it, but I have done that. I mean, we have Elf on the Shelf. The elf comes to visit, and it's always the day after the tree has gone up.
Okay.
And so our tree was put up this week.
Yesterday?
And so, Little Hooli, that's his name.
Oh, Little Hooli.
And his girlfriend.
Oh, he has a girlfriend this year?
He has a girlfriend.
Oh, boy. Now you have to hide both, or to be creative with both?
Well, they go back to Santa.
Okay.
At each night, and when they check in with Santa to see whether the kids have been naughty or nice, and they come back and they always end up in a different spot.
Oh boy.
So, but on the Christmas Eve though, that's the one time that the kids can actually touch the Elf on the Shelf.
Oh, right.
Little Hooli. So on Christmas Eve they'll cuddle Little Hooli and play with them. But then they always leave pajamas for the kids as well. So Christmas Eve, the kids always get new pajamas.
Yeah, that's nice.
And then we usually go to church
Yeah.
At Grace Episcopal Church in New Bedford, and that's definitely a tradition. And then on Christmas Day, I mean, you know, it's just the frenzy of unwrapping presents. But the nice thing is, we always have Christmas dinner at our house, and we have Dennis and Adam, my father-in-law and my brother-in-law, over, and then some other friends of Heather's come over. So the nice thing about being at home is that you can stay in your pajamas all day.
Right.
So it's pretty laid back, but you know, a lot of cooking and eating and some drinking.
Yep.
It's
you got to make sure the drink is there. Got to make sure the wine's
the wine and the champagne.
Yeah, absolutely. So with a family of 4 children.
That's right.
How do you do? Are you done Christmas shopping, Ross? Because I did live with you for 8 years, and I remember when we did live together, and you were dating Heather, and you know those last minute gifts. When we moved out separately and went our separate ways, but obviously remained friends. You know, you'd come at my house at midnight on Christmas Eve to do the old shirt. You know, you get Heather the shirts and put the different sayings on them.
Oh, the T-shirt.
The T-shirts.
Yes,
the T-shirts. So
yeah, we've moved away from the T-shirts.
I'm glad to hear that.
A little bit.
And how about the last minute shopping? Talk about last minute shopping.
I'm really quite proud of myself, Patty, because this year I feel I'm on top of things.
Good.
I mean, Heather does a lot of the Christmas shopping.
Oh, I forgot I had this on.
But
you should have told me.
That's okay. You look very pretty.
Oh yes, thank you.
But I help the kids shop for each other.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
And then I do some of the shopping as well.
Oh, good.
But I'm feeling quite calm about the whole thing.
Good.
We'll see how long that lasts for.
Now, are you responsible for buying the kids, or is that all Heather?
It's shared.
Okay.
We compare lists, and now there's this cool app actually which I have on my phone.
Really?
Where during the year, I can jot down thoughts of things that the kids may want, or that Santa may want to bring the kids. And
yes.
So it's not a sort of frenzy to think of, okay, what are we going to get? No.
Yeah, that's
There's
good.
actually some thought that goes into it. So the Christmas cards, I mean, they always end up usually sent out after Christmas.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's a surprise
I think
for people.
that's one tradition that people are getting away from, is sending Christmas cards.
I think it's a shame.
Yeah. I've only received, I think, 2 this year, and I honestly have
ours
not
will be
sent.
coming, but
well, thank you. That would be 3.
It hasn't been mailed yet.
Well, I'll get it probably in January. But really, it could be Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year.
Yes.
You know, it could be a Happy New Year card. But I've only gotten 3, I think 2, and we did not send out Christmas cards this year.
I like Christmas cards. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Christmas has become over-commercialized.
I agree.
Especially the emphasis on gifts and so on.
Yes.
And
Let's talk about that.
Christmas is really about giving,
Yes.
not receiving, and I think that's a hard thing to install, particularly into children. But we try, when the kids get their allowances each week for doing chores, a certain percentage goes into their bank account, and
Good.
also a percentage goes towards a charity as well. So that's really important about the idea of giving back.
Right. And I mean, there's quite a few things on Facebook, to talk about social media for a second, but, the 3 kings brought each a gift to baby Jesus. That's what Christmas is about, right? So, giving 3 gifts versus, some parents just really, and, one of my big exciting things coming up in January is budgeting, and
I'm looking forward to that.
I'm glad.
Really
I'm
looking forward
glad.
to that. Yeah, I think it should be a great show.
It will be. Thank you. I'm so excited about it. I know I call myself the budget mom wife, BMW without the car payment.
Okay.
Chuckle. But people, like you said, kind of Christmas is so commercialized, and people have gotten away from what it's really about. And they, I've had some experiences in the past where, people just don't pay their monthly bills in December because they're putting that all toward their Christmas gifts for their children. And you do want to make your children happy. And like I said at the first show, you always want better for your children. Every parent wants better for their children. But at the same time, you have to instill in them, some worth that, Christmas is fun, and it's, giving, and, it's a lot more to just presents. Presents, Presence. It's being present.
Presence, that's right. Yes.
Being present in your child's life as well.
When I was growing up, we'd get one bigger present and 2 or 3 smaller presents, and that was it. You know, and I like the simplicity of that.
I do
think
too.
Now it gets way too complicated. And don't get me started talking about stocking stuffers.
Right.
I don't have
Look, there's at least 4 here to fill, right?
Yeah.
I agree.
You know how I feel about stocking stuffers.
I know, and I'll just say
and I don't
this.
understand why my wife didn't like the Q-tips, but it did take up a lot of space, and that was the purpose.
So yes, he puts Q-tips in his wife's
Just
stocking.
once.
Don't do that this year.
I have not done that again.
Don't do this
No, I have
this
not
year.
done that again.
But that's a practical gift, right? And as
it's a gift that lasts a
how
while.
about like for Madison, who's older, so she's 20.
Q-tips?
Q-tips, or I was going to say, because she's in college.
It's when you get a pack of 500. I think that was the issue.
Right, I think,
It wasn't so much the Q-tips, but the 500. It's just too much.
Oh, you're funny with your gifts. I'm glad to see that you're being a little bit more creative this year, and you're not waiting until the last minute.
But I think having a budget is important.
Yes, it is important.
I think it's ridiculous the amount of money that people spend on presents.
I agree.
Especially given that there's so many people who are out there who are hurting.
Right.
It just doesn't seem right
Absolutely.
to me.
And starting January 1st, I can bring it up right now because we're just talking about it. So part of my whole budget thing, you know, this new thing that I'm doing, and I'm going to show you just a little bit at the end of the show, a preview of what's to come. But I've created, Ross, check this out. These are all the weeks from January 3rd, 2020 till Black Friday, which I tend to do a little bit more extra shopping on Black Friday. So what I'm going to do, and I created this little cash envelope. Right?
Good.
So starting the week of January 3rd, which is next week, 2 weeks, which is the first week of January, I'm going to save $10 a week, every single week, put it in my Christmas envelope, and until Black Friday, which is 47 weeks.
Yes.
So if I save $10 a week, that's $470.
That's great.
And that would be, you know, I mean, I don't have a lot of people to buy for anymore, but that'd be Christmas presents, maybe an extra decoration or two for the yard, like food for Christmas Eve. It's
so
not
you don't do the Christmas Club account, which is the same
right,
idea.
exactly.
The money gets automatically taken out of your check, which I think is a great idea.
It
Never
is.
did it this year, so I'm really
Oh yeah, see, that's
glad.
great. And
I
a lot
think
of
I might
people
do it
still
next
do
year.
that.
I think I might do it next year.
I think you should. You know, I mean, a lot of people are getting back to things like that, you know, budgeting weekly so that at Christmas time you're not feeling
stressed.
And that's the thing, like, because so, you know, and that's the other thing about Christmas is, you know, nice and magical and everything else, but there's a lot of stress that comes with it. You know, you want the best for your kids. You want to give them everything on their wish list. I give my husband a wish list, and, you know, he only has me to buy for. I take care of Grace, I buy him, I take care of sending something to his mom, and really, you know, a few friends in between, but he looks at his list and he's all stressed out. I say, well, you only have me to buy for. And a wish list is just that. I give him a wish list. These are the things that I would like to have. My birthday is right near Christmas, and so you could look at the list and say, well, I'll give her this for her birthday and a couple little things for Christmas. I'm okay with that. I'd rather have it all for my birthday. Just kidding.
Well,
but,
you're in an
you know,
interesting situation because
I
your
am.
birthday is, in fact, 3 days before Christmas.
It is.
And so you get gypped a little bit, I think. But
This is a big year for me, Ross.
it is a big year. How old were you being?
It's a big year, folks.
It's a big year. It's a big
Well,
year.
I graduated from high school in 1987.
So you figure it out. Yeah.
Right? It's a big year. But
Well,
that's okay.
well, one of the other traditions that we've shared, and
Yep.
it's a very interesting thing. I think I don't like is the Black Friday.
Yes.
Do you remember
that
those
doesn't
days
happen.
when we actually
Yes.
used to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning?
More than
and
that,
go and
3
sort of
a.m..
Stay,
Yeah.
line up outside Best Buy or
To get a
whatever
Walmart,
it was to
get a
to
TV,
get something, you know.
right? To get a
Oh,
TV.
dear. But it is interesting watching. I like going there, and I don't do it like I used to.
Right.
There is something interesting about going and watching other people buy.
Right.
Because they sort of get into this sort of mode of, well, it's on sale, it must be a great deal,
Right.
so I must have it. You know,
Right.
and
Don't get me started on
I
good
get-
deals.
No.
Because that's what happens. They mark up those
They
good
mark
deals.
it up before they mark it down.
Right.
And so it's not
Right.
such a great deal.
Right.
But I live vicariously through other people, so it
Yes.
saves me some money.
Absolutely. Well, Ross, this has been very interesting.
It's been
we
fun.
can talk a lot about all our traditions, but one thing, I do want to just bring up one more tradition that you and I had as roommates, because I just remembered it, was that so we would put our tree up. I don't know if you remember this. I know it's been a while, a long time, right? So we would put our tree up, and then we would have a tree ornament party. And so everyone who was invited to the party had to bring a tree ornament that was something of their personality. So I've actually kept a lot of those. So every year now that I have a family and I put those ornaments up, I actually remember, so-and-so gave me this one, or it was I got one, a cowgirl from someone that I worked with because she was a farmer. So I always remember that person. Or do you remember us doing that?
Vaguely.
No.
No, I
That's
do.
okay.
I do.
But we used to do that all the time.
That's
It was
about
like
20
once
years
a
ago.
year. I know, 20 years ago.
Yeah, no, I do. I do.
Well,
I think it's nice.
it is nice. It is nice.
It's a nice tradition
It
to
is.
have.
And this year,
Keep it simple, though. Keep
I
it
agree.
simple. Keep it simple.
I was going to say that, when I was talking about, this being a magical time of year, but for some people it's not. I know that this year has been a tough year for people who've lost, loved ones. And I was just at a friend's house recently, and they have a blue light Christmas tree. The whole tree is covered in blue lights. And they're a Portuguese family, and the woman who decorated the blue her father passed away this year. So she said that, she had heard from her husband's family that they had always done a blue Christmas tree in honor of the loved one that passed. And I thought that was, it was beautiful, but I didn't really know the meaning behind it until she told me. But what a great idea, like to recognize, remember someone who had passed in that same year of Christmas. So I hope just people just really, sometimes you might come across somebody in the next couple weeks who is, just down and out for, you might think for no reason. It's a nice time of year, and why isn't that person joyous and, bubbly and singing Christmas carols? But it is still a tough time of year. So let's just remember those people. And
it is a time for people who don't have. It reminds them of the fact what they don't have, because people are out shopping and buying, and if you don't have the money, it's really hard. That's why I think some of the local charities, particularly like Gifts to Give, is such a great charity to support. Because that's about providing toys for those children who don't have anything.
Who are unfortunate.
We like to give money to that charity.
And there's a box at Fairhaven Town Hall for Toys for Tots that the Marines does every year. So you can bring an unwrapped toy and put it in the box. And
how long does that box stay out for?
I believe it is out till, I would assume, either the end of the week or next, probably till Christmas Eve. It's just something to keep in mind. It's always nice to give. If you're able to give, some canned goods to the local pantries, food pantries, those, there's quite a few in our area. Hook up with somebody, do some volunteer work. It's always nice to give of yourself.
That could be a whole topic.
It could be. Giving back.
And different ways to give back.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of organizations that are looking for volunteers all the time. Well, Ross, thank you very much.
It's been fun.
Okay, fist bump. That's how we do it around here.
Okay.
Nice to see you. Okay, well, that was lovely. It's always nice to have a show and then have surprise guests come on. Ross and I can talk about a lot of things. And Peter was great, wasn't he? Nice to have children on, and hopefully he'll come back, in the future, in the next few months when we're talking about drums, and, maybe he'll be my little set man and do some drumming for me. I'm excited. So January is right around the corner, and like I kind of touched upon with this episode is there's something out there on YouTube called The Budget Mom. Check her out. She has some great videos on budgeting paycheck to paycheck versus living paycheck to paycheck, which a lot of us do. And I've been actually using her method since October. December kind of has gotten away from me just a little bit, but I'm still, we still get paid this week and next week. And this is my budget book for right now. It'll be something different in January, but very similar. And it's about a calendar, which we'll, talk a lot more about in January. But I just want to show you one little thing. The most important part of budgeting, especially if you want to start in January with me or in February, is really to track every dollar that you're spending. Not just your fixed, your rent and your gas and electric and your car payments, but every dollar that you spend. So in the last 3 months, I've done exactly that, just tracking everything. And then as a visual for me, and a lot of people do this, is color coding what you're spending it on. Because this gives you a good idea of where your money's going and where you can cut from. Just in October when I first started, you see a lot of those dark greens on there. A lot of dark green in October and November. Amazon. So I was spending, and it's funny because a lot of people love Amazon, right? Amazon Prime, it comes to you in a couple of days. I got a little carried away with Amazon. So my goal for December was less Amazon. And how much money can I save from not doing Amazon? To be honest, with Christmas, I really didn't have a budget. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to spend, but there's no dark green. The light green on here is all Christmas expenses, so I am keeping track of what I'm spending for Christmas. I'm doing that for twofold, so I know what I'm spending for Christmas this year, but also it made me think about the $10 a week starting in January to put toward next Christmas. So we're going to go through the budget system that I'm doing. The Budget Mom, I'm not affiliated with the Budget Mom. She's not giving me any money for testing a product with you. I'm simply stating that that's what I use, and we'll go over it. And if anybody wants to come on, we'll probably in January do a little overview of it, and then do another one, another show in end of January, early February, for anyone who wants to come on and do a round table, and we'll talk about budgeting, what our goals are for the year, personal goals, financial goals, and I look forward to doing that with you. Again, thanks for joining me today. It was a great show. I love my crew. They're fantastic. They tell me I look good all the time. And Merry Christmas.